Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to the first show for the month of March for Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone.
And we hope you had a great day, and hopefully the temperatures are starting to rise a little bit where you are. I know, depending on where you live, that may not be the case, but we've had so many fluctuations here. Today it was like, now it's 70, but we've had 80 degrees. We've had 30 degrees.
It's 60. It was 60 degrees here, which isn't bad for us right now.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but it's going to storm rain tomorrow.
Okay, so we had storm today. So at any rate, we have another amazing show for everyone, and we have a few housekeeping notes, and we have a book to give away. So we're going to start with the book festival. Is October 23rd through the 25th. Right now, we're at 42% sold as far as our vendor space. So, and the end of March is the last day. March 31st is the last day for early bird registration. So after March 31st, on April 1st, the price goes up, the terms change. So this is the best time to sign up if you haven't already, and we expect to sell out by early May. So be mindful of that. Also, the Black Authors Matter TV Awards process ends today as far as the shows that include the voting. So the voting for this year's awards starts on March 17th. We'll announce it again. And then the show for the award show is May 13th. So we'll tell you more about that when we get closer to it. Our first two guests are both with Black Odyssey Media. And for those who watch the show, you know that Black Odyssey Media is one of our publishing partners. And when they have authors who have new releases, we try to get them on the show as close to the release date as possible. So our first guest from Black Odyssey Media is Casey Mills, and her book, which is titled You Could Do Damage, came out last Tuesday. So we're pretty close to the release date, and we're excited to have her on the show. And welcome, Casey Mills. And if you could unmute your mic, that would be great.
But you did strike a very nice smile, and we appreciate that.
You did.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Now, your sound is a little muffled. Are you getting a muffling sound, Rhonda, on your end?
Hold on, let me see. No.
Now, that's clear right there. When you
It
just
might have
said,
been because I had, hold on.
okay.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay, because sometimes my hair brushes against my my earpiece and then it kind of does a weird sound, but
No, I understand that. So you see this microphone that I'm wearing, I call myself trying to hide it and put it under my clothes. And then when I listen to the playback, all I can hear is shh.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to have to let it show.
Yeah.
Well, you know, on TV, when they're mic'd up, you can see their mics.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know. So
But
there's a science to that.
I worked in journalism, and we do try to hide the mic, but it's a different lav mic. It's a lot smaller, so you
Right.
can put it under your lapel, and it doesn't interfere too much. But it's a fact of life. You know, you don't sound that good on TV by yourself. You need the microphone. So there
Yes.
has to be a microphone somewhere. We just don't want it to be too distracting.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah. So, Casey, were you on the show before, or were you scheduled to be on?
I was
What the
on
sound?
when I did my
The
first
other book.
release with Black Odyssey. I did Innocent Intent.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I thought I saw that you had been scheduled to be on the show, but I couldn't
Yeah,
remember if you actually. I was thinking something happened, but at any rate, do you have a copy of your new book?
I do.
Okay, it's called "You Could Do Damage," and it has those roses on there. I
Yes,
saw
isn't
Well,
it
that.
first of
pretty?
all, I like the title. I believe isn't that the name of a song as well?
The song is Damage, but it's You Can Do Damage is the chorus for it. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so is that where you got the idea?
Um, no, it's like so the title actually comes is a spin on the two characters because she basically is grew up in foster care. She doesn't really have a family, and so it's an arranged marriage. And he basically opening herself up to him, he can do damage to her,
Mm,
and with him, he's that alpha male kind of in a mafia style situation with his lifestyle. So love and stuff like that is secondary to everything. So she could do
right.
damage to him by them both being vulnerable and letting each other in. And so that's where our title came from.
Okay, I
Okay,
like
now,
that.
now,
It sounds like you put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah.
yeah, now is that a current saying? Is that one of those current like phrases that people use and that I missed?
I don't think if it is, I don't think so.
Okay, well, who sings the Damn It song?
Her is one. There's so many different ones, but the one
Oh,
that I use
okay,
for promotion is the one from her.
okay, okay. Well, tell us about how you came up with the storyline. What were your motivators, and uh, how long were you working on this story?
So I actually can write stories pretty quickly. So it took me maybe about a month and a half to create and come up with, but the motivation behind it was basically you have these two people from two different worlds, and you have her, Nari, who actually wants a family because she's never really had that before. And so she enters into this marriage as a business deal because she's kind of stuck after being almost tricked into having a family. She meets a family member when on the train, and it's a blood relative who basically used her. And so she ends up
Mm,
homeless, well, getting kicked out of her apartment. So she enters into the marriage, which is an arranged marriage, with the hope of doing a business deal, just basically gonna have a come up and be able to move on with her life. But she really, really, really just wants to be seen, wants to be loved because she's never really had that. And so Kincaid, who she actually ends up in the business deal with, he was scheduled to marry someone else and found out some things about that family that he didn't want to be connected to. So he sees her and he's like, okay, I need somebody, anybody to marry, and it's going to be her. They meet each other and they feel something, but they don't know what it is. And so he
mm.
picks her because he's like, until I figure out what this is, I need her close to me. And so they just kind of enter into this arranged marriage together, both of them from two different worlds who really want the same thing but don't realize they want the same thing, just that acceptance, but they both are in a power struggle. So it's that's kind of the premise
Oh,
of the story.
this story
Both of
has a
them
lot
needing
going on.
control.
Yeah, is the arranged marriage, is it in the United States?
It is. It's in the United States.
Okay, because I you don't really hear that much about arranged marriages except people, for the most part,
Yeah.
people who are from other cultures that come here, they still do the arranged marriage thing.
Yeah.
But you don't
Yeah.
really hear about it as much among, uh, I guess, Native Americans, not native like not like that, but
Yeah.
Americans who live here. So that's why I was wondering about that. And did they, but so the arranged marriage, they know each other. It's not one of those ones where you don't meet the person until you get to the altar and then you find out who it is.
No, so for the two of no, it wasn't that for them. So with the two of them, she worked at a club that he frequented. He saw her there. He was instantly attracted. Again, he there was something there between them. He didn't necessarily know what it was. So it wasn't a got to the altar and get to meet, that person. It's like, okay, here's your husband, here's your wife, like that. So they didn't know each other though. They had only just seen each other in passing. And it's arrangement basically because in his world, in this mafia world, they have these arrangements where they partner up, and he selected her as the person that he wanted to marry to get out of another arrangement that he was in.
Mm. But would you? I don't know. This seems like so many different layers. I mean, it's not exactly romance. It's a little bit
I was gonna
intrigue.
ask
Oh,
that.
it's definitely romance. I'm a romance girly.
Oh, okay.
Okay, okay, because I
There's
was
some other
wondering the
things
same
going
thing.
on.
There are some other, so the foundation I will say is romance. The other stuff that's happening is kind of more in the background.
Okay.
The mafia aspects of his lifestyle, and then the family dynamic of her not really knowing her family and wanting a family and things of that nature. All of that stuff is more or less in the background, but the premise of the story and the foundation of it are these two people who enter into marriage with an agreement and end up in a power struggle with their hearts.
Mm.
Okay. So is this book connected to the first book you had through your first Black Odyssey book?
No, it's not. And
This
and
is
this
the
one actually does end on a cliffhanger. So there is a part two that's coming out in October.
Oh, okay. All
Okay.
right.
Way to set people up. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at
No,
that.
a lot of people like series
Yeah.
or a sequel, something that they can sink their teeth into and the
Yeah.
story continues. As long as it's not like a total cliffhanger, that's I like them, but there needs to be some semi-closure and not just like the chapter you ended on was really like the middle of a
Well, see, that happened to me
multi-page
one
book,
time, Gwen. I was struggling. This book was this wasn't your book at all, Casey. So don't get me. But I was struggling with this book. This book was really, really bad. But I was trying to hang in there because I
Yeah.
said, I don't like the DNF books. I like
Yeah.
to see it through and see how it's going to happen. But the book was so bad, and I struggled through it. And then I got to the end, and it's like there was a knock at the door to see who was at the door, catch my next book. I'm like, no,
You're like, I barely made it through this.
I was so
Yeah,
mad at the
that's
author.
where Rhonda and I differ because I will DNF a book in a minute. I don't care. I don't care how much I spend on it. If it's not move capturing my attention, the story has to move. We can't like if it puts me to sleep like two or three times where I'm
No,
reading it like
this
this
book didn't put me
nah.
to sleep. It was just badly written. It was a
Oh,
bad
That
okay,
story.
too.
okay.
That too. That too. I will not finish. And to me it's like you insulted me. You insulted my time. You
Right,
didn't really
right.
respect me as the reader to not put more into this. And if it's by a big publisher, then a lot of it they need better editors. A
Yeah.
lot of times I don't know if they read some of the books they put out. Some of the really, I wonder sometimes
I
because
think for me, my problem is once I start something, I can't DNF. I don't know that there are
Really? So
many. It has to
am.
be really terrible for me to DNF because I'm like,
Really?
okay, I'm in this, and if even if it's not for me, I still have to get to the end. But I won't go do
really,
bad reviews or anything. I just have to get to the end just because I started it. That's
That's
my
the way I
problem. That's
am.
just like a
Exactly.
really. Oh
that's
gosh,
just how my brain
I
works.
could probably my DNF books is probably a bigger, and I've read thousands of books, and the DNF is probably equal to the ones I finished.
Oh wow.
That's because I don't have to finish if it's not
Yeah.
grabbing me. I'm not compelled. I don't have a need to finish
I
just
wish
because
I
I
had that
start.
because there's some stuff I wish I could have just put down, but I
Put
just my
down.
brain is just like you're in it
I'm
now.
gonna
You got to
wonder. I'm
finish.
gonna wonder if it got better. And then
Yes.
sometimes if I don't like a book and I'm like halfway through it and I don't like it, I'll go to the reviews and see what other people are saying. And if they're like, it was so good, I'm like, what did they see that I didn't see? And then it makes me
Yeah.
want to keep reading.
You
Right.
know that happens with books I finish. When I go look at the reviews and people say, "Oh wow, it's the best book, one of the best books I ever read." I'm like, what
What
were
did
you
you read?
reading? I don't know. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
don't
but
post a bad review. If I don't finish, I don't
right.
post a bad review.
But I'm quite sure that that won't be happening with this book.
Yeah,
I
it sounds
absolutely hope
intriguing.
not.
Now, how did the mafia angle get in there? Is it the actual, like the Italian mafia, or is it like a urban
No, it's not
mafia more
Italian
so? Whatever.
mafia.
Okay,
So I don't have, those layers. And it's more so it's mafia-ish, mafia world kind of
okay,
thing. But it's
okay,
more about the families and the organization of it. So you
okay.
get the structure of these families and how they function collectively under an umbrella,
Mhm.
but it's not per se the mafia like in Italian mafia or things of that nature. So you have that power structure, but it's more so about how they all function together as an organization.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like that's just it's not it doesn't take over the story. It's just kind of
In the
a back.
background. Yeah.
Right.
So literally, it's almost like if you're writing a story about a construction worker, for him, mafia is his livelihood. It's his job, same as that construction worker would do it. So it functions in that aspect of it. So it's
Right.
there. It's an intricate part of the story because it helps define his character, his personality, his struggles, and the layers of him and why he reasons and behaves the way he does. The sense of control, the dominant, the alpha in him. So it explains all of those things about him. So it's necessary for that aspect of it, but it does not consume the story. It's just a layer of it.
All right. So what why did you decide for that to be kind of the background character, so to speak?
Truthfully, and I think I've said this before so many times. So the characters, for most creatives, the characters tell us who they are. You have to kind of toe the line of insanity. These characters live in us. We become them. We are
Yes.
the vessels that tell their story. So it came about because that's who he said he was. And I didn't necessarily go into it saying, oh, I want this to be who you are. I had an idea of the type of male character he was going to be. And then everything just aligned and it fell into place that he was going to be a part of an organization that then ballooned and defined itself as this mafia-ish style world.
Okay.
Awesome.
What's the
Go ahead, Mike.
setting? What's the setting for your book? Like, what city
It's
does
in
it take?
Atlanta.
Okay, okay. So
Is that
that's
where you're located?
a
Yes.
lot of stories take place.
Okay.
Atlanta,
Okay.
born and raised.
Okay.
I was just about to ask if you were actually from Atlanta or did you
Yeah.
live there? Because I know Atlanta has a lot of transplants. I live in the DC area, and
Okay.
it's easier to find transplants sometimes than it is to find people who are actually from DC. So that's why I was
That's
wondering.
Atlanta too, though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, this is your second book with Black Odyssey, and the
Third.
company is third.
Third
Oh,
book.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
third
that's what it
book.
was. I was supposed to do my Christmas book with you, which was the
Okay,
second one,
I
and we
knew
didn't
it
come
was
on.
something. I knew there was
Yeah,
some
that's what
kind
it
of
was. I was supposed to come on and do
backstory.
my Christmas book.
Okay, okay. Because I don't forget guests, if especially if there's some kind of challenge.
Yeah.
There's something happened, or it could be technical, it could be timing. We've had some guests who their plane was delayed and they missed the flight, or they were going to be on the flight and they couldn't be on the show. You know, all kinds of
Yeah.
things happen. So I remember when something happened. That's, you know, and so I wanted to ask about, since Black Odyssey they've grown, they're still acquiring
Mhm.
more authors, they're having
Absolutely have
more new
grown.
releases.
Yeah.
So how has your experience been with them as a publisher? Um, how have you gotten involved and able to see the process and the growth from your book number one until now?
I think the biggest thing is, so when we first came on, me and a couple of the other authors, B Love is one of them, but we were the inception. So we were those first couple of authors, and to see, and I may have this number wrong, but I believe Shawanda said there was an article that said she published, I feel like it said 28 books. But she's only, she's a brand new imprint, Black Odyssey. And so that's a huge deal to
Hmm.
have that. And so the process, I feel like the growth from then to now is just seeing the reception from the readers, and the acceptance of, oh wow, you guys are really out here doing things. And my second book with them actually made a USA Today bestseller, which is a huge accomplishment for a brand
That's
new
huge.
imprint.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
so
yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, is just seeing the growth from starting and being brand new in the industry as an imprint, because she herself started as an author. So to start there, and then to have all of these authors under her, and to be able to publish so many successful books throughout, her first year going into the second year, and have such a great team of authors, is the biggest thing, because you don't necessarily see that. You don't see the number of publications coming out under a new imprint like that. Black authors, is another huge part of that. For us to be so successful on that imprint under a Black publisher is an amazing thing.
Is that what attracted you to publishing with her?
Oh, absolutely. Because if you do it, and here's the thing, everyone has their own journey, but for me to do it and be able to be under an imprint from a Black publisher and be successful again. This imprint has USA Today bestseller on it, and she's brand new. Do you know how amazing that is? To be a Black
Yes.
woman
Yes.
having a publishing house that has that type of success. So yeah, that was a huge part of it for me, to be on that level with traditional publish, with someone who understands my struggle.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
what I like about it is you don't hear about any drama.
No.
Absolutely not.
And
And very supportive too.
yes, and all the authors seem to be very supportive of each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
we write our books, we put them out, and that's it, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, so you said you have a sequel from this book that's coming out in October.
Yes, so it comes out in October,
So
October 28th, which is really great, because to end on a cliffhanger, sometimes in traditional publish, you'll wait a year or two before that
yeah,
follow-up comes out. So
yes. So kudos to you and Black Odyssey for having the sequel come out so soon.
yeah.
So the two main characters are continuing in the sequel.
They are, because I did that thing, that y'all don't like, with that cliffhanger.
No, no, I don't mind a cliffhanger. I just said don't stop the story because you couldn't think of anything else to write, and then
No.
tell me.
Yeah, it
I
has
had a
to
lot, but if
be.
I had put it all in one book, it probably would have been 800 pages. So
Yeah, if
we
it's
had
a
to split it up and
cliffhanger,
put it in two. So we have a duet.
okay. Yeah, if it's a cliffhanger for me, it still needs to have some closure in the book.
Yes.
Not just, like I said, not just as if, the book has 30 chapters. You just ended book 1 on chapter 15. And then there's no there's no
We're
there's
not getting
nothing,
anywhere.
it needs to have wrap up a little bit
Yeah.
to where it's just not like Rhonda said, it's a true cliffhanger. Like
Yeah.
somebody knocked at the door and then who is it? So so Casey, we appreciate you being on the show and
Wait,
continued success to you. I
when is
wanted
the book? When is the book going to be?
the book is out now.
So yeah,
Okay.
this one is
Yeah,
out, and
okay.
then the
Okay.
follow-up comes out October 28th.
Right. You could do damage
Okay.
came out
Oh,
last
that's not
Tuesday.
bad. You're not making us wait
Hmm.
long for the
I
next
know,
book.
isn't that
Yeah, that's
good?
what she was saying. 6 months, more or less. That's
Yes.
really good. So, and since you write so fast, you said you can crank out a story in a month and a half. That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, thank you
that's
so much
great.
for being a guest on the show. Rhonda's
Thank-
going to tell us a little bit about her Black History Month weekend because she wasn't able to be on
I was sick last week,
last
girl.
week.
I had the
Oh.
flu.
So we're going to do that between you and Maya's
All
interview.
right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you having me.
Well, we
Okay.
appreciate you being here and best wishes and all the best for your book and for the sequel that's going to be coming out in a few months.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, ladies.
You
Okay.
take care. God
Have
bless
a
you.
great night. Okay. So, Rhonda, when you told me you were uh planning, when you told me you weren't taking off after your weekend, I said, okay. Then
Well,
you
I
guys said,
technically did take off because I do the Horizons Author Lounge on Monday nights, and I purposely did not schedule a show, so I figured I could just chill. And then, I still have a day job. So I
yeah,
still
that's
had
what
to
I'm
go,
saying.
yeah, I still had to go to work. But
Yeah.
no, everything was fine. I went to work as normal on Monday, but toward the end of the day, my throat was feeling scratchy. And then next thing you know, I still worked. I worked all week. I just worked from home and I had to because I told them I wasn't about to
You
go
want
into
to
the office and be a super
infect
spreader.
people. Yeah. Well, I know from personal experience when you have a big event, especially a multi-day event,
Yeah. Yeah, and
it,
it was
your
definitely.
resistance will be low because that's a lot of pressure and stress,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
it's
and it was
easy.
definitely it was up basically a 4-day weekend because Thursday everybody flew in, and we had the event at the winery, Books and Wine, which was
I
wonderful.
saw your pictures. I
Yeah,
was looking at the whole
yeah,
weekend.
it
Mhm.
was beautiful. So in fact, I think that was everybody's favorite night. And then the next day we visited the schools and the kids were great. They had great questions. They were really interested and engaged. And I'm not talking teenagers. I'm talking like eighth and ninth graders and maybe a couple of seventh graders. So, but they
Okay.
were so interested. They had their questions already written down.
Oh,
It was
wow.
really nice.
Okay.
Yeah. And Nalena Kai actually made a very nice pledge to both schools that we're all going to get together and we're going to help the kids to create their own anthologies. So they get to write their stories. We're going to create their book covers and do the editing and actually give them an actual product. So that's something that we're working on
Wow.
doing for the next few months.
That's
And then we
amazing.
had, yeah, it was a beautiful thing, and I think the kids were really interested in that. And then Friday night we had Meet the Authors at Barnes and Noble. We had a great turnout for that as well. And then Saturday, I'm always the most stressed about the Saturday event because that's the premium event. Tickets are $85. And when it comes to a free event, you expect that to be at capacity. But I'm always worried about the last event. But the last event went really well. We wound up actually we packed out the place. That was great. All of the students who won the essay contest were there. Two of them were there in person, and one of them zoomed in because she was in Mississippi. However, her counselor was actually present at the event. He came in from Mississippi, and so he
Wow.
collected her prize for her. But since she was on Zoom, she got to read her essay in front of the audience. So that was really nice.
Okay.
We had a live band. They rocked the house. They had us up and dancing. Love that. Our guest host was comedian Christopher Columbus. He had everybody laughing. We also had all three of the winners for our For the Culture Book Awards. So they were there. So that was another nice touch. So the weekend just was totally amazing. I'm really happy with it. So we're excited because next year will be our 10th year, and we are going to be taking it back to New Orleans. So we're going to have the whole Mardi Gras experience. By the way, today is Mardi Gras for anybody who didn't realize. But
Yeah, I
we're
have friends who
yeah,
went.
yeah. So we're going to be doing the Black History Month Literary Weekend Mardi Gras experience for 2026 to celebrate our 10th year. So super looking forward to that. But before that, in August 29th through September 3rd, we're going to be doing the Meet the World Writers Cruise. So we're going to have 7 different instructors. We're going to have a lot of different classes from the foundation, which is actually writing, to publishing classes to marketing classes. So I'm really looking forward to that. We had a Zoom call a couple nights ago. See, I don't stop. I don't stop even when I'm
I
sick. I
know,
don't
I know,
stop.
I know.
Yeah, so we had a Zoom call a couple nights ago. That went really well. We're going to have another Zoom call on Thursday because we want to be able to answer people's questions about the cruise. But we're excited about that. So yeah, there's a lot going on in Meet the World Image Solutions. But the great thing is that we are continuing to support authors. We're continuing to support readers, and we're just going to keep it going.
Okay, well, it sounds like it was great, and I know how it is when the event's coming. It's like, wow, it's on its way, and then when it's over, it's like it's so fast.
It,
It's
it, it really is. You're like, it's over already, just
it's
like that.
like you do all this work for months and months and months, and then it's over like in a flash. So, but you
Yes,
have to rest afterwards. Now, I'm
yes.
going to announce the book we're giving away, and then we're going to bring on our next guest. So, we're giving away a copy of my 2025 edition of my book. And this book, I do it every January, a revised copy. It has over 300 scholarships in it. It's called 101 Scholarship Applications, and the subhead is what it takes to obtain a debt-free college education. So if you answer the question for this book, I'd like you to only answer it if you are going to give the book or you know someone that can use the book to get scholarships, not just to have the book for to put on your shelf. So
I tell you, this is a great
request.
tool. All three of our winners got this book. Thank you very much, Gwen, for that.
Oh,
And people were asking me about the book after the awards because that's how great this book is.
yeah, this I think this is my 10th year doing this book. So I do it every year. So the trivia question for to get this book is, and it's in the synopsis. My daughter graduated from undergraduate with a bachelor's degree, and she graduated totally debt free. In what year did she graduate? So if you get the year right, you get the book. And um, like I said, share it with someone who actually can use the book uh, to get money because there's lots of money out there for college. Okay, we're going to bring on our next guest, and she is Maya is an author with Black Odyssey, another Black Odyssey author, and her book came out. When did her book come out? Oh, last Tuesday also. so, uh, uh, so Maya, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. Now you do pronounce it Maya and not Mia, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's Maya.
Okay. I just wanted to make
Um,
sure.
I see your cute rainbow behind you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I got kids, and so the background be a mess. I said, let me be colorful. Hide the
So
Nothing
you
wrong
had
with
a
that.
book. You had a book that came out last Tuesday as well with Black Odyssey.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
congratulations on that. Did you have a copy of your book handy?
I am waiting for my author copies, so they're in route. I should have them soon.
Oh, okay. So the name of your book is Burden of Love.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I don't want to ask, is it a romance? Because normally if it's talking about love, it's understood that it's a romance.
Yes, ma'am.
Especially in the title.
Yeah.
So tell us about Burden of Love and what the book is about.
Okay, so Burden of Love follows a lawyer and a detective through the trials and tribulations of balancing romance with work. And you know how lawyers and detectives aren't always on the same side, and that's where they find themselves. In this story, it showcases pain, healing, love, lust, corruption, a little bit of legalness, all kinds
All of
of
the
things.
good things. All of the good things.
Yes.
Okay, now how did you decide? And this is with, I guess romances generally, but with your romance in particular, how did you decide the professions of the main characters? Like, what made you say, okay, I'm assuming she's the lawyer. Is she the
Yeah,
lawyer?
he's the
Okay.
lawyer and he's the
And he's the
detective.
detective. What made
So,
you say, okay, I'm going to do a lawyer detective?
I usually binge watch my favorite shows, Criminal Minds, SVU, Law and Order. And so with them in my mind, I'm sitting here like, what can you take from my favorite shows and spice it up and make it Black romance? So I was like, I have a degree in criminal justice, so I'm familiar with that field, and I can
Okay.
some of my favorite television crime shows and make it something cute and romantic.
Well, that
Cute.
explains it.
Okay.
Now, I like Law and Order, but not the SVU.
I like them
I
all.
like the regular Law and Order, and I actually like the earlier, I would say up to about season maybe 15, and then it kind of got weird. Some shows are, I think, to me, they run out of ideas, and
Yeah.
when they run out of ideas, they go weird. Twisted. Everything has to be a serial killer that likes to cut people up and hang them upside down in his basement, and then have them on a rope and then send signal. I mean, it goes in a weird direction. I know you're looking around, you're looking, but it's true. They go in a weird direction, and once it goes weird, they lose me because I think people can be more creative than that. They don't have to go weird. But I like Law and Order. I like the law part of it. I like the police part of it, and then the legal part. I really like that about Law and Order. That the police, they investigate the crime, and then once they determine who it is, which is not always the person that they initially pick, is not always
Exactly. Yep.
True.
a criminal.
True.
Sometimes they make a mistake, but then it shows you the legal aspect. And I learned a lot about the law by watching Law and Order.
Yes.
True.
You
I
know,
think that's what I enjoy about watching Law and Order is just, learning about the law and how it all works.
yeah, and knowing your rights. I learned
Literally,
some of my
it's
rights
so
in there.
important, especially in today's climate. You always need to know ins and outs of the legal system because we are all one mishap away from who knows what. So it's always good to stay in the know about things going on.
So, would you say any of your characters are in your book are a nod to any of the characters that you see in Law and Order or anything like that? I mean, is
Um,
there anybody that'll make me, or are there any characters that are going to make me think of somebody from one of the shows?
um, mm, if you all watched All Rise, that
Yeah, yeah.
so yes, when I was writing this, I was like, a black judge and all of this scandal around her. I really like this, and I want to see what I could do with this kind of plot. And so, yeah, when I was watching All Rise, I was inspired by that plot line to create Talia and their all black family law firm.
Okay, okay. I see where you're going.
Okay, now I didn't watch All Rise.
Oh, it's so good. It was so
Is it? Is it
yes.
on
Yeah.
Hulu? I feel like it's on Hulu.
It might
Um,
be on Hulu, but it was a regular TV show,
it
like on
was,
on the
yes, it
network.
aired
So it should
on,
be it should be on
yes, so
Hulu.
it should be on
Okay.
Hulu. I think that's where I watched it. I binge watched it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I prefer, I almost prefer binging shows
Me too. I like to watch it in
Me
to,
my own.
too.
waiting week to week. I don't want to wait. I just rather wait till the season's over with and then binge
Well,
the whole
sometimes
thing.
I just like to skip through the commercials, so I'd rather watch it on DVR.
Yes, yes.
Well, I do that too. Yeah, I skip the commercials. I record things, but I also like there's something I want to watch, but I'm gonna wait.
Mhm.
Paradise. I'm watching
I,
something else.
yes, I want to watch that too because I see everybody's posts and I'm just like,
Everybody's talking
watch
about it.
it because
My problem is I've only seen the first episode, and the first episode was good, but I'm too sleepy, and then I'll try to watch the next episode, but I'm trying to catch up on my other shows too, because I watch everything DVR now, and then by the time I get to Paradise, I'm sleepy.
yeah.
Well, I watched
Um,
the first episode too, Rhonda.
okay.
And so I decided I was gonna wait till they finished and then just binge it. So right now I'm binging ER, which has 15 seasons and there are 20 something episodes for each
Ooh,
season. So I've
that's
seen it
the
before, but it's
television
been a long time.
nowadays.
It's been like 5 or 6 years ago. It was a really good show. So I'm in season 4 right now.
Okay.
So I don't
Well,
know.
how many books is this isn't your first book, is it?
This is my first traditionally published book, but I have
Okay.
31 titles in my catalog.
Come on, 31.
Wow, I knew I've been seeing your name over the years.
Yes, ma'am.
So you self-published all your other books?
No, I self-published a couple, but I am signed to Be Love Presents. I love Be Love. Oh, and she has been my publisher since 2021.
Okay, she's
Okay.
been on the show.
She had The Loyal Wife drop with Black Odyssey Media
Uh-huh.
last year,
Yes.
and The
Okay.
Devoted Husband will drop sometime this year. I'm so excited for that. I love Be Love.
Okay. So
Okay.
so what made you decide to go this route this time with this book?
B actually put my name out there to give me this
Wow.
opportunity. So she's like, I see someone
That's supportive.
I want to give
Mhm.
this opportunity. And I'm just like, me? You want me? Like, yeah. And it's like, wow, because this is like a really monumental thing in any author's career. And for me to have it so early on is kind of like a true blessing. Like, this is crazy.
So the other books that you wrote, when did you get started with them, and are they all romances?
Yes, I started writing when I was 16 years old. I published my first book. It was way too grown for a 16-year-old to be published.
Well, you know, at 16, we think we're grown anyway.
I did think I was grown.
See, I know.
So yeah, I dropped His Little Secrets at 16 years old. I didn't tell anybody in my family because I was like, first of all, this is too grown for me. I don't want anybody to know the kind of books I write. So yeah, and that kind of kickstarted my career. I wrote most of like urban fiction until I found my voice in contemporary Black romance. See, because I used to like shock value. I used to say, what kind of crazy thing can I put in my books to get the readers talking? But then I kind of like found my lane. It's everyday Black love stories. I
And
want my
see, yes, that's the way I don't feel that you have to have drama on every page.
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
everyday Black romances. I like to write about the average coffee shop owner, maybe
Yes.
sometimes a surgeon or a mechanic or a graphic designer, etc. Like I want people to see themselves in my books and just to know that Black women and Black men deserve to be loved unconditionally without all the dramatics.
I see, I can hang with you, girl, because I believe that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
is
beautiful. That's
Maya
called maturity.
your pen name?
Yes, because my
Okay.
first name is Jemaya, Jimmya, and my daddy's name is Jimmy. They thought I was gonna be a boy. He thought he was gonna get him a junior. No,
So I can see
name.
what happened. I can see what happened. You know, you're on the labor table. You're having a baby, and then well, not you, of course, your mom. But your mom's having you, the head's coming out, and your dad is like, my baby Jim Maya. So I can see it. I can see it.
Yep, and I'm a daddy's girl too. I've been under that man my whole life. I love him.
Oh,
Oh,
He's telling all his friends, my daughter is a traditionally published author. She's gonna be all over the world. I said, damn.
oh, sweet.
Oh man. He's telling all his friends. I'm like, I don't want all your old guy friends to know what kind of books I write, Dad. Please.
But you know what though? That's awesome that you have this type of family support, because
Yeah.
you see a lot of authors who are not just authors but business owners as well saying, my family's not supporting me and they're not reading my books, but you have a whole tribe behind you. I'm looking in the comments and people are all in the comments supporting you right now. I don't know if you see it or not. I mean, saying author of the year, go Maya. Your book is so good.
Y'all gonna make me cry.
Yeah, I mean this is what it's like to have support. This is what support looks like. So don't take that lightly, because not
Oh, no.
everybody has that.
Definitely. I'm truly grateful for my team. And that's what I've always had my brand as from day one. I am an author's author. I support everyone, and you don't have to support me back because I know God is going to bless me tenfold regardless. So I
Amen.
share, I support, I try to drop gems because not everybody knows how to maneuver through this industry, and I try to help as best I can.
Love it.
So when you wrote your first book, did you use Maya as your name then?
Yes, because I wasn't creative about a pen name. I was like, hey, I can just shorten it. There's as many Mayas in the world. Don't know, is he?
So when they found out what at what point did they find out about that first book? Or did they find out about the first book?
No,
Your family.
I kept that under
You
wraps
kept
for
it a secret?
a couple years. It wasn't until actually last year at when I went to New Orleans for the Gym Awards that I finally let my family know, hey, I'm an author who's actually traveling places and doing events now.
Oh, okay. So it was kind of a secret.
Yeah, it was. I was like, I'm so shy. And then my partner, my boyfriend, he was like, hey, you're doing big things. You don't need to be shy about what you're doing. You need to put yourself out there. And so I've been putting my face to my brand lately. And it's been a lot of support since I like became the face of my brand.
Yeah, well, they're commenting in the chat. Now, when you first uh started your writing, did you keep going? Like, were there big gaps in between? How, like, because 30 books is a lot. And you said you
No,
had 30
yeah,
books.
it was inconsistent in the beginning because I was balancing high school with dropping books. And then I was balancing college. And then during college, I got pregnant. And then COVID happened. So I was like, COVID is making everybody stay at home. What can I do to
Right.
support my family and raise my kids? And so I took my author career seriously in the summer. I was pregnant with my son, and that's when my career catapulted. It took me a year into taking my career seriously to sign to BLP. I started reading Monica Walters' books, and I was like, oh my God, I love her so much. And I saw her repost Be Love was accepting submission, so I screenshotted that. It took me 4 months to actually submit my manuscript, and when I did, B said, welcome to BLP, and I see so much potential in you, and I've been crying ever since because that lady is
Oh,
amazing. Oh, she really helped me find my voice as an author, which is so important. She helped me figure out how to brand, how to market, how to do everything. And I'm just so grateful because had I had to do this on my own, I probably wouldn't be where I am today without BLP.
That's beautiful.
It's
That's
good to
beautiful. And
know
that's
that she's out there doing that.
yeah.
She is literally an angel, a blessing. She is, I love that lady. She is a vessel from the Lord, if I had to say so myself, because the way she, I'm not gonna try to cry, but there was a time when I didn't know what I was gonna do in my career, and B is the type of person who she'll give you the talk that you don't want to hear from anybody else. Like when my mama passed away, I was 13. And so when you're 13 and you're becoming a woman on your own, you don't want to listen to anybody who got something advice to say because you're like, I'm grown, I know what to do. But no, B gave me the hard talks that I wasn't ready to listen from anybody else.
How did you find each other?
Through books and reading. I picked up one of her books and I fell in love with her pen. Like B is the type of author I will stop writing my own book to read her new release. Like I just love how she tells a story. I love how she creates her male characters. Her female characters are relatable. I just love that lady. I love that lady.
Yeah, because I
So
think
sweet.
when she came on, she has a lot of books. I can't remember the number, but
Hundreds of books.
yeah, she's written a lot of books.
Yes.
So, do you have a one or two book deal with Black Odyssey?
This was a one book deal, so I made sure to give it all I could in the full scope because I'm a standalone girly anyway. I don't like to be continued my books. I like to get done with I like to tell the full story and then put those characters to the side because I don't like to draw out storylines or anything like that. So when I do a series, it's never a continuation of the previous characters. It's always supporting characters and family members who I tell the story on through them. So yeah, I'm a standalone girly.
Love it. Yeah, we were talking about that in the last segment about, standalones versus to be continued or sequels. And I think Gwen and I both agree there's nothing wrong with a sequel or
Right.
but you want to make sure like I have a book series, but you don't have to read my books in order to appreciate the story.
Exactly.
Every story is going to read like a standalone story.
Mhm.
And so that's the way I like to handle sequels, and that's the way I like to read sequels. I don't want to feel like I have to read all 9 of your books in order for me to understand what's going on.
Because I have the attention span of a squirrel. If I gotta go back and read 10 books, I'm probably not going to, especially if I didn't start at the beginning, because then I'm gonna feel rushed and I just like to read at my own pace because I might
Right.
not always finish a book either. So
I think I was inspired by the late great Eric Jerome Dickey because he has his books were a series. However, you could read one book and then you can read a book like seven books later, and they're still going to feel like two complete stories. He might take a character from one story and add it to another story, but you don't have to feel like you have to read that last book in order to understand what's going on with that character.
yes.
And so I think that that's a gift that not everybody has when it comes to writing. So you can write your standalone books, but if you ever decide to write a series, just make every story a complete story and you're going to be all
Amen. Yes, ma'am.
right.
Yeah. Now, when did you know you wanted to be a writer?
Oh, I was an avid reader since kindergarten. I was reading Jenny B. Jones, and then I was reading the Babysitters Club and things like that.
Yes.
But as I was growing up and reading, I'm like, I don't see too many characters who look like me, who have lived lives like me. And so literally at 13, I said, I'm gonna write a book and I can relate to this character who looks like me, who has lived like me. And so yeah, that's what
Oh,
made me
okay. Okay. That's interesting that you got that epiphany at 13.
literally.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved writing in English and reading and all that, but I didn't think about writing a book until many years later. I did other kinds of writing. So, and I didn't write fiction until like, fiction wasn't on my radar, so to speak, to write. I love reading it though, but it wasn't on my radar to write. In fact, I read fiction almost exclusively. 90%, I would say.
I like fiction. I really love fiction. That's my first love. But I like to read a good memoir.
Yeah, that's about
And
the 10% is a memoir or well, it'll be a memoir or history.
yeah.
Like I love history. So
Yeah,
sometimes
I
I
don't
will
mind
read.
reading a history book, or I like to read a lot of inspirational books. So
Okay.
like I'll read the mess out of a Joyce Meyer book or a T.D. Jakes book, because I love the messages in those books. So I guess I can pretty much run the gamut when it comes to reading books. And I
Okay.
like a good mystery.
Oh, me too.
Okay.
Not too much though. I gotta take it. Some of those mystery and thriller genres.
Oh yeah, not too much. It doesn't have to be a scary mystery. I just want a mystery.
Yeah, and serial killers, not so much.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of people have a serial killer as a storyline
Yeah.
in thrillers, mystery slash thrillers. A
Yeah.
serial killer is like the central to the story.
Yeah, that's why I love Criminal Minds, because you're just like, how can people actually think to write this kind of stuff? And it's like, there are people in the real world who actually do these crazy things. Oh man, because back in college when I was getting my criminal justice degree, I had a class specifically on serial killers, and I had to write
Oh,
an essay on Eileen Wuornos. And so, yeah, when I tell you this
That
life,
class would have given me bad dreams.
yeah.
my favorite class because I love like studying why people do the things they do. So,
I've never seen an episode of Criminal Minds. Uh,
love it.
I've heard it's good, but I've also heard it's weird. So that's where I don't know if it's too real. I like stuff to be realistic, but I know true crime is not something that I
Oh
watch.
no, I cannot do true crime because I'm
Okay.
like, no, these are real cases.
These are real people that do
One of
these
my
things.
kids sisters, she can listen to the podcast all day, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, my sister watches something. Is it called Busted or
Snap,
Triggered or it's a one word where women end up
snap.
killing their
Yes,
snap. Okay.
yep, it's snap. Yeah.
But
Where
Maya,
women
what's next for you? Because I
What'd you
know we only
say?
have a couple minutes. I said,
that's
what's next
true.
for you?
I
You know,
will
you
be
just finished your
on
book.
book tours. I'm gonna be at
Okay.
4B in Mesquite on the 12th of March. Burden of Love signing in Houston, Texas is at Kendrick Stories.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be in Mesquite, Houston, ATL for the Black Romance Book Festival. I do have
Nice.
more books coming soon. I don't know when I'm having this book done, but it's coming. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we had several authors. Kindred Stories is one of the bookstores in Houston where a lot of people, it's a stop for a lot of people
Yeah.
that come. And are you signing by yourself at
I
Kindred
will
Stories?
be.
Do you know?
Yes, I will have my
Okay.
very first solo book signing, and I'm super excited to see my traditional release on the shelves and then have people actually coming and getting them signed. Is gonna be so crazy to me. Like that's crazy.
Okay. Well, I'm sure everything will go well.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
Maya, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you so
And
much.
we hope to see you in the future when you have another book out.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll contact Entice and get you back on.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All
Okay,
right,
have a
take
great
care.
night.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, and I did check to see who won the book,
And you know
and
who it was
it
then?
was Stephanie Burnham.
Woohoo!
So this book will be on its way to you soon. So our next guest, we're moving right along. Our next guest has a new book out, and Nancy Johnson, she's been on the show before, with her previous book. And so she's back with her brand new book. She does historical fiction. And I have my copy that I got already. So I
Yay.
haven't read it yet. In fact, it just arrived today. I was hoping it would arrive before the show because it originally it said it was getting here tomorrow. But then when the package got here today, I was like, great, I can show that it's called People of Means.
Yes,
It's
so glad you
pretty-
got it.
You have
Yeah.
cutouts on your cover too.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
See, I'm just messing
No,
with Gwen
that's
because
the camera, the way the
Oh,
camera showed it. It does look like that. And you know why? Because it's green. And when you have a green screen,
Right.
anything green ends up being invisible.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know why that was.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I used to do my talk show once upon a time in front of a green screen, and I would always have to tell my guests because I did it in studio,
Yeah,
and I would
make sure
always
you
have to
wear.
tell
Yeah,
them, do not wear green. You can wear anything you want, but do not wear green.
right. That's smart.
Yeah, I did this early on with this show. I wore something green, like it can be green, but it can't be the same color green as the
Right.
green screen.
Right,
So
right.
I had it on and I had to change clothes like really quickly before the show went live because when I did turn the camera on, you couldn't see it. It was weird.
Right,
It's really
right.
weird. But anyway, Nancy, welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV.
Yeah, it's so good to be back. Yeah, I'm glad you remember that I was here before to talk
Yeah.
about Behind This Lie when it came out, 2021. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's been 4 almost 4 years ago now.
it has
It's
been.
crazy how much time
Isn't
flies,
it?
doesn't it?
Isn't it? Isn't
Oh, I
it?
know.
So The People of Means is your brand new book. It came out February
February
11th.
11th. Mm-hmm.
So and I saw online that, and this is really interesting because there was a Black History event with 4 historical fiction authors, including you, that took
Yeah.
place on February 1st. It was virtual, I believe.
Yes, it was virtual.
And all 4 of you have been on the show or are going to be on the show. So you're on tonight. Shara Moon was on a few weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Victoria Christopher Murray will be on April 1st.
Yes.
And Lauren
And
will
Lauren
be on, her name is Lauren Sharma. There's
Sharma.
a hyphenated last name.
Yeah.
She'll be on, I think, March 18th.
Oh, wow. So it's so nice to have all of us on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So how,
Victoria discovered that all of us had books coming out in the same month and decided let's all talk to kick off Black History Month. So that was really nice.
That's
right.
awesome.
How did your event? Now this wasn't the event. I don't want to insert something that wasn't the event. But this wasn't the event where there was a challenge
There
of
was,
some
yep,
kind.
there was somebody who interrupted it. It was,
It was
you
a
know,
Zoom. Was it a Zoom bomb?
it was a, yep, it definitely was. It was horrible.
Yeah,
And so the
I
person
remember
interrupted
seeing
us
her
twice.
talking about that.
Yeah. So that was, but we were like, you know what? They're going to try it, but we're going to keep going and no one's going to, interrupt what we are trying to do. And so we continued and persevered in spite of. But yeah, that
And
And
it
then
is the
wound up
people
event.
being very successful.
Yeah. So people who needed to be there were there. People, rejoined, came back, and, we were able to finish the conversation.
some
But
people have too much time on their hands.
they do.
Or they just don't have enough to do, which is the same thing.
Mhm, mhm.
There's all kinds of things you could do, a person could do.
Yeah.
And trying to interrupt someone else's event is just
Mhm.
silly.
Yeah.
But People of Means, tell us about it.
Okay.
What is it about?
Yeah, so People of Means is a story of an upper middle class Black mother and daughter, both of them coming of age at different times of social reckoning in America. So the mom, Frida, is a student at Fisk University in 1959. She arrives there from Chicago and is really introduced to the indignities of the Jim Crow South for the first time. And then 3 decades later, her daughter Tulip is a young public relations professional in 1992 in Chicago at the time of the acquittal of the 4 officers for the beating of Rodney King. So you've got this mother and daughter, each of them trying to balance their pursuit of justice with their personal ambitions. And so that's the
Wow.
story. Yeah.
That's a
Now,
different.
is it kind of a flashback type thing, or is it more of a
You
linear
see
type
both. It's
story?
more linear. You see both yeah, yep. So you see the mother in the late 50s, early 60s, and then we have chapters, we jump forward to her daughter, and then we see the mother there too, as an older woman, and then you meet her daughter, and you see what she's grappling with. And so it's really a nice juxtaposition of the two, the mother and daughter, and the
Right.
similarities in their journeys and struggles, and then some of the differences. And, I really want to explore different ideas about what it means to resist, because they're both really exploring resistance. And yeah, so I wanted to really look at that across generations and across time periods.
Hmm.
I
So
like
what
that.
gave you the idea to create these characters with the storyline and the
Yeah, the inspiration
similarities,
behind it. Yeah.
the,
So
the
I was,
intergenerational aspect of it?
yeah, well, I was inspired by the events of the summer of 2020 with the murder of George Floyd. And at that point, I saw so many people engaging in resistance, from different walks of life, race, ethnicity, different backgrounds. And so I was curious about that. What really is it that sparks people to activism? And then a few months after the murder of George Floyd, Representative John Lewis died. And to me, he's always been this larger than life icon, right? Civil rights icon. But I watched a documentary about his life after he passed, and they were talking about him being a student, being 19 years old, in
Right,
college,
right.
He
and
was
yet
very young.
leading these sit-ins at these five and dimes, at these lunch counters. And I kept thinking I was really intrigued by that and wondering, what's it like for a young person at that age when you're really just trying to get your class schedule together, your syllabus, you're trying to study, date, make friends, all the things that we do when you're, young and in college, in the beginning of your college career. But how do you also lead a movement that changes the world at the same time? And so that's how the character of Frida was born, the character who we meet in the late 50s, early 60s. And then the other time period was sparked by my own activism when I was a student in college. And so in 1992, I was a student, junior in college, and that was my first time marching. Was about the Rodney King
Right.
verdict. Yeah. But in this story, I decided not to make Tulip a college student. I decided to have her be a young public relations professional because at that time in her life, the stakes are higher in terms of whether she's going to engage in activism or not. She has a budding career on the line, and she's trying to advance at this firm where she's working in public relations. So much more at stake for her if she gets involved. So not only pressure from her family to not really engage in this, but also, how much is she going to do on company time, and what's that going to mean for her career trajectory?
Hmm. So that's an interesting angle. Now, are either of them married?
Married, yeah. Well, when you meet, Tulip is not married. She has a love interest though. She has a boyfriend, and so I'm exploring again race and class. So he's black like she is, but he's a city bus driver. Her boyfriend, right? And she's a public relations professional. So you've got a bit of a divide there, class wise, and they have very different ideas about activism. So she's kind of thinking, yeah, I cannot stand what just happened with this verdict. I need to do something. That's her perspective. And then she's got her boyfriend, Key, and he's saying, you Tulip have the privilege of being able to engage in activism. I'm just trying to make ends meet, pay my bills, and you're trying to get me and my parents involved in this. My father had been in prison. My mother been working, at a school cafeteria. Now they're entrepreneurs. They're trying to make a living. They can't afford to get involved in this kind of thing. And so there's that tension there between that romantic pairing. And then the mother, Frida, when we meet her in the late 50s, early 60s, she's a student at Fisk University, and she's not married, but she's torn between two love interests. So there's a love triangle in that storyline. And so one is this saxophone playing budding activist, kind of like a John Lewis type. So he's caught her eye, and then her other love interest is the one that her parents have chosen for her, and that's Gerald, who's a student at Meharry Medical College. So he's going to be a physician. So
You put all of the schools in there. I mean, all of these schools are so important to African American history. So it's very interesting that you chose these specific schools to highlight in the story.
Yeah. I thought, I mean, they're such a big part of our history and our tradition. And I talk about that in the book, some of the traditions of these kinds of institutions. And that's part of what's weighing on Frida, is she knows that, her parents went to Fisk, they met at Fisk, and they've talked to her about this storied tradition of this esteemed institution and what it means to be a student at Fisk. And so she's thinking, there's all this this history and this tradition. I can't mess that up by getting involved in activism. And her parents are telling her, focus on your studies. We've sent you to the best. Don't get sullied by this activism, this organizing.
Right.
So she's got a decision to make.
There are a lot of layers in this story. I mean, there's like stories within a story within a story. How are you able to strike the balance between all of this information that you're probably wanting to include, but you still have a main story to tell? How are you able to strike that balance?
Yeah. So I try to do as much research as I can, get as much information, but this was my first foray into historical fiction. And so I was very careful not to just pack in every piece of history.
And it's easy to want to do that. Like, oh, this is cool. I need to include
cool. I need to
that.
put that in there. But I have to stay focused on the story that I'm trying to tell. And it's really about these two women and how they're going to answer the call or not answer the call to activism. It's like they're two young women who are thrown into this huge moment in history. And what are they going to do about that? And so that was my focus. Also, the love stories. I needed to make sure that I was weaving that throughout and that there was an outcome to that in terms of with Frida, which man is she going to choose? And the choices she has to make are very much connected with the choice she has to make about activism, right? And so that's why I gave her two love interests who are pulling her in two very different directions when it comes to the choice around engaging in activism. So that's the way I did it. I just kept, staying true to the story that I wanted to tell and making sure that any details that I put in there are going to be in service of the story that I'm trying to tell. But the details were so important. So it wasn't just what I read. I'm a former journalist, so I interviewed several women who are in their 80s now, who were students at Fisk at that time when Frida was. Yeah, and so I interviewed them, and I wanted the details from them down to, what did you wear to class, right? Because he told me there were some professors you had to wear a skirt or a dress. You had to wear pantyhose in some professors' classes. I wanted to know that because even though it's fiction, I wanted the story to feel authentic, right?
Absolutely.
So if you went there, you'd be like, oh yeah. And I've talked to several people who graduate, alums, since the book has been out, and they're like, wow, it was like you were following me around at Fisk. So it felt like it was authentic. And one of the people I interviewed was the late, great Nikki Giovanni, the author.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so that was tremendous. I hate that she didn't get a chance to read the book, but
So you've been working on this story for quite a while.
I have been. Yeah, it's been several years, that I've been working on it.
Yeah, it's if you have too much history, then a book becomes a history book and not historical fiction. So,
Yes.
you have to.
Yeah, and then it becomes didactic too. And then people are like, oh, you're trying to preach
trying
to
to preach,
me or
yeah.
teach
Right.
and all of that. And really,
Right.
it's a story. I want you to be entertained, but also learn something along the way and make you think, and ask yourself some tough questions.
Yeah, a lot of the people involved in the civil rights movement were very, very young. There is a book called The Children,
The
and I
children.
can't remember the name of the author. It was a white author.
Okay.
I read it, I want to say 20 years ago. I have to look it up. But it was all about the children in the civil rights movement.
Mm.
The people who were running it and planning it and marching and demonstrating and going to jail, almost all of them were children. They were high schoolers and college students. And, when you're that age, you are very idealistic
Yeah.
and fearless.
And
You know,
fearless. Yes, you
Fearless
think
is a good way to put it.
yeah.
Yeah, you really are. But the one thing I discovered, I think a lot of people have the misconception though that if you were black in those days, you were automatically involved in the movement, but you weren't. I mean, because there was
No.
the danger of it,
Hmm.
this was
Well,
dangerous work, you had
Yeah.
the fire bombings and you had all kinds of things that were happening.
right. I recently learned though that just as you said, not every black person was a part of the movement, and not because they were scared. I met a man who told me, and I'm never gonna forget what he said. His friends, when he was younger, he's 90 years old now, but he
Yeah.
remembered his friends saying, "Join the movement." He said, "I'm not about to mess up your movement." He said, "Those white people have one time to spit on me, and I'm gonna mess the whole movement
Oh,
up."
he said, I can't get down with all that nonviolence and
Right. So he's like, let me just
oh,
stay over here. I support y'all from here.
yep. He's like, I
Look,
know
I'll get
myself.
y'all out of jail.
Yep, I'm not the one. So yeah,
Right.
that's true too. And then I interviewed a
Mhm.
woman who said she was from a small town in Tennessee, Murfreesboro. And I include her story
Oh,
a bit in there, fictionalized version, but she said she had parents who were elementary school teachers in that small town in Tennessee. And she said they were like, you can't get involved in that because we will lose our jobs if
Yeah.
mhm. It
if they
was
find
tied to
out
livelihoods.
that that we have a child who's doing that. And so I incorporated that. One of Frida's best friends
Mm.
is from, her name is Cora. She's from Murfreesboro, and I have her dealing with that, with parents who are teachers, and there's a threat of them losing their jobs.
I found the author's name for that book, The
Oh,
Children,
yeah,
because I looked it up on Amazon. It was gonna bother me.
yeah. Okay.
The David Halberstam. And
David.
he's written a lot of other books. He doesn't write on black issues or civil rights issues. I don't know if he's still alive. I don't want to call him dead. But he was older when he wrote this book. And
Yeah.
it's been out, I want to say it was 20 years ago when I read this book. But very fascinating. Just a
Yeah.
fascinating account of the people who were at the forefront, like
Yes.
John Lewis.
Right.
They
Diane
were
Nash.
all, yes,
I mentioned as
they were
well.
all very, very young. So, and then the people who, as you were saying, the people who were involved in the movement, or not everybody wanted to be involved for a variety of reasons. Some of
Right.
them, it was just fear because
Yeah.
they were lynching people.
So I said it was dangerous work. It
Yes, it
wasn't,
was very
it wasn't an
dangerous.
easy thing. Everybody didn't want to risk that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
so,
then I have the parents in my book, Frida's parents, as I indicated already, saying, we sent you there to get your education. And they believe that that's how you resist that's how you lift your community is by
Right.
being excellent and doing well, getting a good job, right? And then if we, are become the pillars of the community because of the kinds of work we do, the profession that we have, that will lift the rest of the community along with us. And they felt that was the way to do it. And they also wanted Black folks to lean on the legacy Black organizations, like the NAACP and those types of organizations. Like, let them handle it in their way. You don't need to be out there physically organizing and putting your life on the line and causing a ruckus.
well,
Not the ruckus.
as it turns
Yeah.
out in historically, the movement people helped the NAACP
Yes, they did.
because they were considered to be by many white people to be more reasonable.
Right.
So you had the Stokely Carmichael with the SNCC, and then you had the SCLC, and they would butt heads too with each other because they had different approaches.
They did. They
SNCC,
did. You had the young people
they went
pushing those
nonviolent.
older organizations too to do more,
Yeah.
to be, it was, they were
Yeah,
really
it was
kind of nipping at their heels, really.
yeah, but it really took all of it. It took all of the different approaches
You
to
need
make
all of them, right, to make it.
to
Yep,
make it happen.
totally agree. And I think it's timely to where we are today in terms of what are we going to do? We're thinking about resistance now. So, when you look at the course of history, some of this is just a parallel, right? And I forget the Coretta Scott King quote, but she said something about every generation needing to fight to regain the rights that they had won already. And
Yeah.
and I think about like the 1860s, after the Civil War, we had the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery, and the 14th Amendment granting citizenship to formerly enslaved people, and then the 15th Amendment giving Black men the franchise, the right to vote. And then a century later, you've got the Civil Rights Movement, where Black folks are still trying to regain those rights that had already been bestowed upon them, right?
Right.
And
And a lot of people don't know that Black women didn't get the vote when Black men got the vote.
Right. We did
They
not. That
didn't
was
get the
Black
vote
men.
until the women's suffrage.
The suffrage movement, right?
And then we had to fight
Even
white
then,
women.
we were right. Even then, white women didn't necessarily want us to be
Yeah, they
part
didn't
of
want us
that,
included.
right?
So we had to, everything is a fight almost.
All my life.
You know,
I'm sorry.
a little bit.
Okay. I couldn't resist.
Yeah, you have to be you have to be willing to fight for what you want. And you can fight in different ways. It doesn't, it doesn't always have to be public or protest.
No, it didn't. That was one
Sometimes
thing
it
I
can
wanted to
be,
do with this book, was you could do it. You have your own ways of doing it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Within institutions, you can be fighting the system and it never make the paper. Never made public.
Right.
But
And you see that in my book too. Like, you have to read it, but there's
I plan to read it.
You gotta read it.
On my
Okay.
list. This is
It's on your list.
It's on my list.
Yeah, because there's something that Nikki Giovanni told me about with a particular Black entertainer, a very famous entertainer. And she said everybody doesn't know what his role was in the movement. And so he makes an appearance in the book, I'll just say, and perform.
Okay.
And we get to see a little bit about how he was, what his influence was during the movement. So yeah, so that was fun to be able to insert those pieces of history that I found out from Nikki. And then I kept telling her, I said, oh my goodness, you give me all this hidden history. I'm going to go look it up. And she said, child, you're not going to find this in a history book.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of stuff doesn't make the history books. And I told people, you have to think about this, especially for the younger generations. If you Google something and you don't find it, does that mean it didn't happen? Because now people depend so much on Google.
Yeah.
Google doesn't capture everything, not even 10% of the things that have happened.
No.
It's only what's been put in there. And it's a lot that's not in there.
Part of it you have to think about too is that many things made history because people thought to write them down, or people thought to spread the word. This is why for a long time people thought that Madam C.J. Walker was the first Black female millionaire, and she actually wasn't. There was a woman who came before her, Annie Turnbull Malone, but people didn't talk about her as much as they talked about Madam C.J. Walker. So it's just in recent years, people started learning more about Annie Turnbull Malone. And she actually was the one who started the school where Madam C.J. Walker learned.
Yeah. See, that's it. There's so much we don't know about our history. And now we're at a point where folks are trying to, whitewash our history and remove some of our
Exactly.
history from what's being taught, So it's really up to us to be the carriers of the story, of the history.
Yeah,
So I take
absolutely.
that responsibility seriously to be to play a small part in doing that.
Yeah, we've always had to tell our own stories though. Even when uh because I learned Black history from taking it. Well, let me say this. In elementary school, I had a teacher that was exceptional, and she
Okay.
made it part of the Black History Month. We had a program where we dressed up as different people from the past.
Oh,
She
nice.
really went all out. But after that, high school, I took a whole year of African American history. And
Okay.
so, and then I read a lot. We have to read ourselves.
We do. We
There's
do.
no
We have to be
rule that says you can't
responsible
read
for
yourself.
that.
you
Right.
know.
Right.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
reading is great. We just need more people to write down their history and spread their history.
Mhm.
Um, at the Black History Month Literary Weekend, one of my special guests was Dr. Regina Jennings, who's been on this show.
Okay.
And she talked about the Black Panther movement.
Mm,
And many people did not know a lot of the things that she talked about when it came to the Black Panthers. Many people thought of them as these gun-toting madmen who walked through the streets with berets on. And
right.
she said she thought that as well. But then
No, yeah.
when she got there and she joined the movement, the first thing they did was, instead of putting a gun in her hand, they put a book in her hand. And
Mm,
so a lot of people didn't realize that this is what they were about. They didn't know that the Black Panthers started the free lunch programs. And they didn't know that the Black Panthers were the ones who started free healthcare. But we don't know all of this until those stories are told.
we're
So we just
told.
have to continue to tell our stories.
Right, right, right. Yep, I
Yeah.
agree. I didn't know
And
all that you just said. So I'm
yeah,
learning.
especially with younger generations, just because they're so well. On the one hand, they have the tool, they have their devices, but
Yeah,
um, they have the information at their fingertips.
right,
But
right.
they have to be you have to create
Well,
the
Be
interest.
inquisitive
You
and to
have
be
to be
looking, to
motivated to
seeking it
even
out.
seek it
Yeah,
out.
but this is why I think that stories like yours, Nancy, are important, because even though it's a fiction story,
yeah.
it's going to inspire somebody to want to learn a little bit more. Every time I read an historical fiction book, I see something that I did not know before, or I learned something that I didn't know before, and it makes me want to research it. So sometimes people aren't researching because they don't know to research it. But when they read it in a digestible format like yours, which is a fiction book, and it doesn't come across as preachy, as you said, you wanted to
Yeah,
make sure that it didn't come across as
I didn't
preachy.
want that.
It's going to inspire somebody to learn a little bit more, and they're going to read a little bit more, and they're going to learn something
Yeah,
new.
they're going to learn some of their history, and then think it also inspires people to really have important conversations about
Mhm. Yeah,
issues of race and class and the things that we don't always talk about. But I think it's easier to get at the information when it is, like you said, more digestible, it's more accessible, when you can really sink into story and character. And I think it builds empathy too. People are able to walk
yes,
in the shoes of somebody whose life is very different from their own and learn something, right?
exactly.
Yeah, and it's not like some of the nonfiction from, say, to the summer of 2020, after the murder of George Floyd. You have
Right.
all those nonfiction anti-racism books, and those were fine, but I think for some people they felt preachy, and it's like, oh, what are you trying to accuse me of? But I think with fiction,
It's easier
it's
to
easier
digest.
to digest, and you can, yeah, yep, and when you can do it through story and character, it doesn't feel as threatening, I think, for readers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right, right. And referring back to something that Rhonda talked about earlier with with Manu C.J. Walker, a lot of people think Rosa Parks was the first person to resist on the bus, and
Exactly.
she wasn't.
Right, right.
It was, I think her last name was Colvin.
Yeah. Claudette
Yeah,
Colvin.
Colvin.
yeah, yes.
But Rosa Parks was the secretary for the NAACP, and she was a seamstress, I think, and so she had um, the stature
Hmm.
that they were looking for
Right,
in
and that was
terms of
planned.
representing the
That was
movement.
all part of the strategy of how they were
Yeah,
Right.
going to put that out, right?
yes. Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's lots there. You have to read a lot of books to digest all the things, all the different aspects and angles and just but
It's
it's a good
fascinating to hear,
exercise because I'm
right?
an avid reader and I'm still learning things.
Yeah, and
And
I feel like it's a good blueprint for where we are today, and it's instructive, when we're all feeling hopeless and helpless sometimes. Um,
Mm.
when democracy is, on the line, and all civil rights and human rights and all that are being rolled back. I think we can look at these kinds of stories and look at, how was this done before? And it can be a blueprint for what we can do today, I think.
well, Nancy, we're at the end of our time. I had an aunt named, I had a very an aunt that I really, really was close to named Nancy. So
Oh,
yeah. So thank you so much for being a guest on
yes.
the show.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations on your latest project.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it. I love the conversation. So
Yeah, I
thank you.
can't wait to
Absolutely.
dig into it.
Good.
I'll be reading it as well. Thank you,
All
Nancy.
right. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Have a good night.
Okay, so we have our final interview now, and um, Nina's been on the show before, Nina Foxx. She has Jennings on there. She's gonna tell us maybe why it says Nina Jennings, but that might be her legal name, and Nina Fox is her pen name, I think. But anyway, Nina, welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm fixing it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so you have a new project, and I saw it online when you were advertising it, and I said this is would be a great time to have Nina back on the show because we like to have authors on the show who are doing other kinds of things. And there's a play called Rarefied Air that is, I think, the first week of the
Next
play being shown is next week. It starts next week, I think. But anyway, tell us about your role with
week.
Rarefied Air.
So I wrote Rarefied Air during the pandemic. So you know that the time, remember us, we couldn't go nowhere. We were all
Right.
locked down. And it's the first play that I wrote. I've done other plays before, but they were books that I rewrote for the stage. I wrote this straight to place, first thing that I wrote that way. And it is the story of a family that's been locked, Black family locked down in Seattle, Washington. Mom, dad, and the daughter. And they are trying to figure it out, like we were trying to figure it out. They're, it's weird to be talking about this now, 5 years later, and it feels almost like we're back at the same place. But I don't people that are familiar with my work, it is different than that. It's different. It's not the funny book. It's not any of that. And the family, the couple, they've done all the things that they tell you you're supposed to do when you go to school and you get the degrees and you get the big fancy job and then you're supposed to have the American dream. And all of a sudden, not only are we locked down, but then they watch George Floyd be murdered on television.
Right.
And that is making them feel some kind of way. And they're navigating that with, having teenage children. Well, in the play, it's just a daughter who is doing all the things that we were doing, like, oh, Black people can't get it, or it's the 5G, it's all of these things with the coronavirus, and then losing everything that you're losing. She's at a milestone place in her life. She's graduated from high school, and all of the rites of passage that they've had as graduated from high school, the daughter's lost it. So there's no prom, there's no graduation, there's none of the hanging out, there's none of the requisite getting in trouble as a senior so that you can, sow your wild oats before you go off to college. And she wants to do something when she watches George Floyd get killed, but you can't go out there because there's a mysterious thing in the air that's going to kill you or that will get you. And dealing with that and trying to really reevaluate all of the things that were told to be true. So that's what the story's about. And my hope is that when I was writing it, I was really in my feelings because I was seeing all these things. I was a mother of teenagers. I actually had one child graduated from high school and one child graduated from college that year. And so seeing all the things and then listening to our other children who had already graduated and the things they wanted to do, because they're this being a Gen Xer, I had parents who lived through the civil rights movement, as did the characters in this play. And so there were things that we were taught. Things like you have to be better, and that's going to make you be seen as equal. And if you do all these things, then you'll be seen as equal and be great. And then you go to integrated schools, and these people will see you as equal and friends. And then all of a sudden, boom, you see these people, people killed in front of you on television, and like that's not supposed to happen. And
It was
then
such a pivotal year that year.
it was a pivotal year, and then you see children who
It was.
your children have never experienced that. You, all the things that your parents told you, you didn't tell them to a certain extent because it was supposed to be that white picket fence and all of the things that the American dream was supposed to be then. And so you didn't bother to teach your kids that, and they want to know why you're not doing anything. And because I think there's a whole generation that was taught doing something means following all of those rules that those other people have set for you, and you followed those rules, and nothing has changed. So I think it'll make people who go to see it, um, well, I think it'll make you feel something because 4 years later or 8 years later, 5 years later, here we are, the same place. 45 was coming into his office then, and he's back again, and what's changed? And you're like, well, I don't know, maybe it's worse. So I think it'll be interesting. And then parents will think about things as well because of what your kids did or did not get to do or lost or how, the things they have to live through. And I think it'll make, there'll be a lot of talk. And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted, you know? So.
Okay. So what made you say now's the time to put this on not Broadway, but let's say off Broadway?
So I did not say that at all. So it's
okay, you did. Okay. All right.
The theater, which is where it is in Baltimore, is a regional theater, and its mission is promoting works by women of color. The person who, I don't know, 3 years ago, we still went it was in the Seattle Public Theater Summer Festival. And I don't remember what year it was, but we were still wearing masks in the theater. So it must have been like 23. And the woman that produced it then, her theater company was a nonprofit that was, again, promoted. They were committed on the West Coast to promoting works or developing works by women of color. So we did it. It was not a full production. Instead, it was a stage reading. Really, very talented actors. We had a lot of conversation. I think the mayor of Seattle came, and because there's some things that happened in Seattle that were on the West Coast that were kind of like, they took over a whole neighborhood and shut down the precinct and wouldn't allow any law enforcement in, and like, it was like a big.
Remember that.
And that was like kind of for our kids, kind of they'd only read about such protests in history books, right? And so it was in that show, and the woman who was running that theater company shut down her theater company and moved to the West Coast, moved to the East Coast. She moved to DC, and she became involved with the Strand, and they were looking for things. And this is how it happens in theater, right? You submit your stuff or not. So I didn't officially submit it. She said to me, "We need something to headline our series," and I let the director read your work, and we really want to do it. That is literally how it happened. And the next thing I knew, so the next thing I knew, I had a contract to do this. So so I'm not doing anything. I'm showing up as the writer, and I'm talking about my motivations, which is kind of hard for me because I have control issues. But it's it qualifies as a world premiere. It makes it eligible for a lot of things. So I'm grateful for that, and I think I'm still humbled and flattered because when the things that people say about you when you're not in the room are really important. And this woman, the work stayed with her. And
Mhm.
it stayed with her. She is a Black woman, but she does not have children. But she lived through it just like we did, and she thought it was important. And I was like, oh, should I change the setting and make it DC because that's where, the area is? She's like, no, I think everyone will be able to relate to it just how it is. And so the end of last year, they hired the actors that they were going to use, and it's a totally different market, totally in terms of people. Although Seattle is the West Coast, and you do get a lot of actors that come out of LA, and a lot of them are professional actors. These people are phenomenal. Like I flew in, she asked me to come in for a reading once they hired them, so the actors, so that I could talk to them about, they could ask me questions about what I was feeling. I left the place with chills. I mean, because they are the level of talent, even just sitting and reading at a table was amazing. And then it had some time had obviously passed and some rewrites had happened. And I was like, oh, wow, I do remember this. And I felt like that again, hearing them read what I wrote and then talking to them about what I was feeling and why I wrote it this way. And it's interesting because, the characters are Black people. And you sometimes we forget that we're not a monolith, and explaining to
Mm-hmm.
the people, the Black men, why my character said that and how it came from, it was really interesting and good. And then the young woman that is playing the daughter is amazingly talented. She's actually a student, and it's a bit of a challenge because the main that person, it's really about her journey through this whole thing. And she's a dancer. Now, it's one thing to say, I have a daughter who's a dancer. She's graduated from college. She's a professional dancer. Yay, yay me. I'm very very proud of her. But to see this young woman take this piece and do what she had to do, and I think it's really hard sometimes to find, you find actors who dance and dancers who act. This woman is a dancer, actor, everything all around. There's nothing missing in her performance. I think her movement has to convey the anger that and frustration that she's feeling. And I'm excited. The director is out of DC, and she was also a choreographer for Alvin Ailey. So
Nice.
Oh, wow.
I have not seen the set yet. I will see the set on opening night like everybody else.
I'm
So
excited for you.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
it's in your
excited.
neck of the woods, Rhonda.
I know.
You might
But
be able to go
I was
see it.
just going to say the play is going to be March 14th through the 30th.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to take that long trip into Baltimore from Accokeek, and I'm gonna come support you.
Well, I'm actually going to be there opening weekend. I think opening weekend is sold out, which I'm shocked and amazed for that. But
That's wonderful.
That is
Congratulations.
thank
great.
you. A lot of people, I was so surprised. So many people are traveling to see it from like others. I was like, wow, that
Hmm.
makes me feel very honored. But that Strand also has a lot of support, and then they're known in the area for this type of thing.
Hmm.
A lot
Hmm.
of universities are supporting it. People who've, had universities in the area that has sent faculty to my retreats. And so supporting it, and different organizations that I belong to are supporting it. And so if you don't get to go opening weekend, please support the theater. It is a nonprofit.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I'm gonna come see you. And like I said, I wasn't playing. It is a long trip. I don't know if you're familiar with Accokeek, but it's like on the other side of Waldorf.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so it's gonna take me about an hour and a half to get there, depending on traffic. But I want to make sure that I come see you because I've turned two of my books into stage plays,
Mhm.
and I know I appreciate the work that goes into that. And there's nothing like seeing people who will take a story and bring it to life.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
I'm excited for you, and just the level that you are releasing this stage play, it deserves all of the support that it's getting. So I congratulate you.
Thank you. It's interesting because I also did the same. I had two of my books that I turned into stage plays, and like I said, the control, because it's a lot when you look up and you realize that you have all of these people working for you. It's not just the five characters.
Right, right.
But she had to tell me, we just need you to be the writer. Because I'm
Okay.
I'm doing everything. So it's kind of an interesting step back, but it's good. It's really good to see for me to learn from everybody else because who knows, I may do it again, but now I will have learned from some things from them that I think are, it's invaluable. So
So is it going to tour or is it going to other cities?
it has a 2.5 week, 3 week run there. And so it's not necessarily a touring play. It's like a traditional regional theater play where it'll be there and then so the next thing that would have to happen is other theater companies would license it as well. No, I am now out of Atlanta. I'm not out of Seattle anymore. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so I'm like, I was saying to someone the other day,
I didn't know that.
yeah, I would
See,
love.
I'm thinking you were on specific time.
No, I
That's
mean
what
it's bedtime. I had to go
I
put
know.
on.
That's why I booked you at the end because I said, well, Nina's on the West Coast, so it'll be 6:30.
The next thing was other theaters would have to license it. So my agent will be submitting to different places to because there's always that imposter syndrome. Like this is the first thing I wrote directly for stage. And as a coach, I talk to people about imposter syndrome all the time, but that doesn't mean I'm exempt. Um, the first thing like I know how to write a book. That's not a problem. I know how to write a story, but then this is totally different. And
Right.
these people went to school for dramatic writing and did all the things. Yeah, I have an MFA, but it's not dramatic writing. But I've come to, yeah, this is, I've arrived at, yes, this is what should happen now. But it took a long time. It took 4 years for me to arrive there. So I'm really going to work on getting it submitted other places. And then it's so funny. My daughter, she says, how could you do this and I'm not in it? Somebody else play me. I'm like, the character is not you. She has no. This is a discussion we had 10 minutes ago. So she's like, so she's very funny because I mean, she graduated from college since I first wrote this, and I wrote it when she was in high school. So
Okay.
that's the cycle. So now she's like, oh no, I'm an actor, dancer. Why am I not in this, mother? So it's kind of
My
funny.
daughter would tell me the same thing. I had to put her in my second stage play. She has a degree in theater as well. So she's if I did a play and didn't even just think about asking her to be in it,
Oh,
it would be in the front.
we have a lot to talk about because I'm at the same place. She looks very young, so she could definitely play this person who's a high school senior again. So I'm like, I gotta have this done again just so my child can be cast in it because
Right, right.
Well, Atlanta would be a great place to do it.
I think so. I mean, moving for me, it was like coming home because I'm from the East Coast, so everybody went to college in the 80s and 90s, moved to Atlanta anyway. So I felt like, so
Hmm.
I know a lot of people, everybody went to college in the 80s and 90s on the East Coast, moved to Atlanta. So
Oh yeah, I remember that. Everybody thought they had to go to Atlanta.
yeah, because we wanted to be in Chocolate City, and I ended up here anyway. 4 years later, that's another story. That's so I felt like coming home. So I think that it would be well received here.
Mhm.
Um,
I would think we have probably more than one venue option.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely. So something.
Atlanta, have you experienced the Atlanta Black Theater Festival?
Not yet. So I just moved here when I moved into my house
Okay.
before Thanksgiving. So
Oh
we
wow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
and I've thought of entering this before, the National Black Theater Festival, but you need a film. So I'm counting on the video that
Oh,
is to enter. So I'm actually absolutely it's on my radar to do that because it'd be perfect. Well, it'd be perfect because you don't have a lot of characters, and the more characters you add to a story, it adds more money, and the bigger your production gets. So I think it's something that would be great. It would travel well to the festival, and again, timely to spark a lot of dialogue in our community and outside our community about the things we need to be talking about now.
okay. So the name Rarefied Air, that's how,
It
what
comes
made
from
you come up with that name?
it comes
I know
from
I've heard that before somewhere else.
it comes from a discussion that the husband and wife have. So these people are So we call them like the new age, I would say like the new age Huxtables. So when you remember in that show, the Cosby Show, the Huxtables were like he was a doctor, she was a lawyer. And now and
Mhm.
that was like, they that gave you certain privileges. So my husband and I talk all the time that the New Age Huxtables are not those people, although that's a nice combination. They're tech people. So like we're with husband and wife both work in tech, and they come from the beginnings like all the rest of us, born around the same time, where your family may have moved to the north or the Midwest, but you still went south in the summer, and you still had these rules about the way you were going to be. Um, and if you did these things, you would attain certain things, and you may have attained it. Like we all have multiple letters behind our names. Like we all do. I'm looking at, we all have multiple letters behind our names. We all have certain jobs that provide us certain luxuries and things we think we know are true. And some of us drink that Kool-Aid more than others, right? And then those things, like the pandemic, snatched some of those things away. Like you can't have a spa day anymore. You got used to your spa day monthly. You can't have that. Like, and you're worried about how am I going to stay fit when I can't go to the gym? And other people are worried about how they're going to eat because
Right.
um, they're essential workers or they're not essential workers and they can't work because their jobs aren't paying them when they don't work. Where your job, you just switch to work at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
The husband is, I think, is a little bit more grounded than the wife. And he says, well, excuse me, if I don't breathe, if not everyone breathes your rarefied air, meaning, you putting on airs and everybody out here is worrying about they're going to eat. And so that became the name. The characters said it to each other, and I was like, that's the name of the play. So,
Okay, this is great name.
yeah.
Very
So,
memorable,
I
catchy.
like the thought behind the name.
Yeah.
because we all know that, and we've all have to, most of us have had to check ourselves to say, "Hmm, come on now." Like, I mean, even now, there are people I know in our circle who are worried about how their houses are going to get clean because people have been picked up by ICE to deport it. How to pull, and you're like, really? How's your house going to get clean? Because every Saturday morning you clean your toilets yourself. Now, just because you're six now does not mean that the toilets can't get clean. That is that's why I say it's like a timely thing with thinking about those same things, but for different reasons now. And then in the play, and when you come see it, the young woman is her best friend, and the mother cleans houses, and no one has heard from them. And kids are like, I can't, she's not texting. Well, she's not texting because her phone is called off, phone turned off because her mother can't clean any houses and has no money because everything's shut down. So it's kind of
Mm.
that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So
So you kept the theme of the COVID. It's still central to the play, or
because the family it's like what happens when you're alone with yourself, right? The
okay.
family's locked down during COVID, and that's what it is. I don't,
Yeah.
I, eh, some of us kept some of those lockdown ways. Like I loved being remote. Like I loved not going to the office. And like my other daughter graduated during the pandemic and is complaining sometimes that, oh, I can't take that job. They go to the office every day. I'm like,
Well,
Yeah.
okay. My daughter was she had a job in oil and gas and got laid off in November. They were hybrid. And it's stressful. And I know Rhonda, you're on the freeway driving to work constantly.
Don't tell them people where I work.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, I'm just saying you have to be in your
Yeah.
car
Yeah, I do.
and you have a
Um,
distance that you have to drive in traffic.
yeah, and it is disheartening because sometimes it takes you a long time, maybe like an hour and a half to get to work, depending on where you live.
Yeah. And so she wanted her dream job when she got a new job was to have one that was totally remote.
well, a lot
And
of people.
and so the first job that she thought she had, she went through 3 interviews. It was totally remote. She didn't get it. Somebody else got it. And then she was up for some other jobs that were hybrid. And I think one was all in the office, and that was like only if I'm forced to. Like, but she ended up getting a job where she's fully remote. The whole company is remote, so it's based in New York. It's an accounting firm. She's an accountant, but people are from all over remote. The whole
You
thing.
know, the interesting thing about that is when we think about, I think that this is why I kept the story needed to stay, because the pandemic, aside from the thing that these family lost, the changes we had to make, it made us rethink the things that we think about how we live, including work.
Right.
One of the things for me is not being able to see my family for 2 years, living so far west, 13 hours round trip from everybody on the East Coast. And it was like, is this, when I finally saw them, I was like, is this worth it? And so like during the pandemic, I had an extra 2 hours a day because I was not commuting to an office. That's how this play was born. But it makes you rethink your values. And I wanted to take people from that process of rethinking their values again. Because some of that we definitely need to keep. And I actually built the acts around the stages of grief, the 5-stage grief model. And so the family is fighting and they're grieving for the way of life that they thought they had. So,
And that they thought couldn't be replaced. You
oh
know,
yeah,
the world that we live in now, where so many things or so many jobs are hybrid or fully remote, was not the world we were in before the pandemic.
no, and
And so we didn't even know that this was possible
right,
and
like
that it could still function,
I
things.
work remote part of the time, or you can work remote. I'm going to work from home today. But I think it's interesting because a lot of companies are struggling to catch up because they have all these investments in real estate and all these other things. It's like, how do you make it mesh? And also, I think like the economy is doing weird things right now, especially in my world in tech. But it's like we used to be, oh, give me a job. Now it's like, why should I work for you? Like they both need to come together. And I think, companies and people, the workers have to find a medium point. And I don't think we're settled yet.
I think it's still
Well,
in flux to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And with AI, who knows where it's going to go?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? I think it's interesting because I think we see a lot of people making different choices. Like I'm just not going to do that. And I'm going to find an alternative way, which isn't necessarily bad because we have, like I said, that whole generation we're taught to do these things and then you'll get X. And then now we're saying, well, maybe I don't want that.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. Well, I am so excited for you with your project. It's not new, but it's new to us.
well,
And so,
it's new in the lifestyle of a play. It's new. I mean, it takes this long and it's totally different than when you produce it yourself.
right.
You gotta learn, it's sort of like taking a book deal with a major publisher versus self-publishing. Today
mhm,
both have merits, but they have different timelines, and that's okay.
right. And so, we want people to know that as an author, there are many, many, many options
Absolutely.
for expanding your creative horizons. And they don't all have to be books. They don't all have to be limited to a book.
Nope, they don't. They don't. But like the play is March 14th through the 30th, the Strand Theater in Baltimore City. You can, find out about it by going to the strand-theater.org or, just go to ninafox.com and
Well,
there's all.
the cool part, Nina, is that when you go to the Strand website, the first thing you see is rarefied air.
Yeah, the headlines there. And so I feel good about that. That's good.
Yeah, amazing. I think that's great. So wonderful. Okay, well, thank you again. I didn't know you had relocated, so that's new information too. So I hope you've settled in and everything's going well.
We're getting there. We're getting there. See this lovely house behind me? That's
I know you do all kind of stuff, with backgrounds. So I know that's the case, but I'm sure it'll all work out. I'm just so excited. I wish I could come to the play. If it tours further south, like south, let me know.
yeah, I will definitely do that. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you. You have a great night and best wishes on a wonderful opening weekend. And I'll be there on the 16th because there's still tickets available that day.
That's Sunday, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night. So, Rhonda, since you said your 10th anniversary for the Literary Weekend is in New Orleans next year, I know I can definitely be there.
I'm holding you to that, Gwen.
Yeah, hopefully we won't get snow. And, we got the weird snow this
Yeah,
time.
that's true. It did snow
Uh,
in New Orleans this week.
So anyway, that's the end of the show for this week. And we appreciate you all tuning in. We'll be back next Tuesday for another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.